All right, we are live, so we should be good to go on that end.
Awesome.
All right, let's see.
All right, ready?
Yeah, we're good to go. I think we're live. We're good to go. Hold on, and it's recording. We're good to go.
Awesome. All right. Hey, everyone. Thank you for coming to our second Friends of Mineralogy Virginia meeting. Tonight, we have Leah Luten, a Texas-based mineralogist, going to tell us her story and journey about to becoming a professional mineral artist. If you have questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask anytime. It'll be fun. All right, Leah, take it away.
Awesome. Well, first and foremost, I want to say thank you so much for having me. I am, really excited to start doing some mineral things again because COVID shut everything down. So let's just get right into it here. Here we go. Just a little bit about myself. I'm from Colorado Springs, but I grew up mostly in Texas in the Fort Worth area. I have no formal art training outside of high school art classes. So everything that you're going to see here is something that I self-taught myself how to do. Kind of the same for minerals too. I've had friends that kind of played mentor roles in my life. And I have a lot of mentors that I feel like it's not like an official thing, but I've just learned a lot from the people in the community. But I've also taught myself a lot just from, buying things online. I've been a collector for a really long time. I didn't get real serious until after high school, but I definitely have rocks that I've had in my collection since I was in first or second grade. I'm a member of the Mineralogical Association of Dallas, the Fort Worth Gem and Mineral Club, and I am part of the leadership team of young mineral collectors. But since I might have to step down from doing that here in a second, just because my art life is taking over. So this is the first crystal or mineral that I ever painted in 2015. I remember sitting on the floor of my apartment thinking to myself, I call myself an artist, but I never really do anything that would make me become an artist full time. So I was working a job at Lowe's. I wasn't really having a great time. My artwork wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. So I made a pact with myself that day that I was going to get good at art and I was going to try to aggressively pursue my dream because, you only get one life, you only get one chance, so you might as well do it. I really loved minerals. Didn't know too much about them, but it's what I latched onto. It's what I decided that I was going to get good at. So this is bad though. Not a very good one, but it's still my first.
It's better than the stick figures I draw.
I started at stick figures too. You see my elementary school stuff, that's where everybody starts. Being bad at something's the first step to getting good at something. So here's some more from 2016. Obviously, I'm all over the place here. This was just practice. So I would find photos on Google. I would use different kinds of mediums that I had at my disposal. Can you guys see my mouse here on the screen share?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So this one's colored pencil and gold leaf. Some of these other ones are watercolors. And then this one's a pen and ink. But at this point, I was all over the place. I wasn't really doing, I was just having fun. Let me see. So I got into digital artwork while I was doing the minerals. I couldn't afford an iPad at the time. So what I decided to do was get a phone. It was just a few inches big, but it had the capability to draw and write on it with a pencil. And this is a little fantasy specimen that I made up, a Pophlite on still bite. And I just drew it on my phone. The phone stuff didn't last very long. It wasn't very user friendly and it kind of sucked. So I finally saved up the money to get an iPad. And this is the first artwork that I did on my iPad. And the fun thing about the iPad is that it records the screen while you're working on things. And this specimen is really important to me because I asked the owners of the specimen, the Arkenstone, found it on Google, and I noticed that I had a watermark and I really wanted to draw it. So I messaged them on Instagram and I was like, hey, I found this photo. You know, I didn't just want to steal it and draw it. Would it be cool if I drew a picture of it? And they were like, yeah, cool. Where are you located? And because I think they saw in my Instagram bio that I was located in the DFW area. And they were like, wow, we're in Dallas. Why don't you come out and come see the gallery? And so that was pretty much the beginning of me entering the mineral world. And it was all because of this photo that I wanted to draw. Okay, so here are some more digital drawings that I did. The first one I won an art contest with, and the first one I won an art contest with, and then the second one has been haunting me since the day that I drew it. It is consistently the #1 seller on my Etsy. I just wanted to see if I could draw the bismuth. I didn't know people were going to like it so much, but as a serious collector now, it just makes me feel terrible when people are like, oh, I really love that bismuth one. I was like, there's so many other cool ones. So this one kind of haunts me, but I'm so glad that I did it. I made up this specimen. So it doesn't really exist, but boy, if I don't have nightmares about it. And then getting into like some of the first commission pieces that I did for serious collectors, I met the Arkenstone people and they were very interested in getting some commissions done by me. And so this is from Jeff Starr and this is from Jeff Starr here too. And then Zach got one from me as well. But a lot of the people that work up there have gotten and like supported me through the very first year of my, I mean, the whole time they've supported me. They've been really great, wonderful friends, but they were really there for me for the beginning. So in addition to like doing collector pieces that I met and knew from Dallas, people on Instagram were really starting to contact me for more commissions. This is a commission that I did for somebody that I met on Instagram. And Instagram was really instrumental to me meeting people in the mineral community. I met Alex on Instagram. I met a lot of my other friends on Instagram. And sometimes I would even meet them on Reddit and not know that they were the same person. So I know with Alex in particular, he would message me and he was like, wait, you don't know who I am? Because I was talking to him on a different platform. But Instagram people really came through after those first few paintings. So that was really nice. Also, this is a really nice shot of my palette that I use. I use mostly Winsor and Newton watercolor paintings, and this is a huge pan set. So I wanted to include this. Here is another painting that I did for Jeff Starr. This is a really amazing azurite on smithsonite from Sumeb. It was in my first Tucson case that I ever did. At the very beginning, there was a little bottle that I had on top of the painting there. And that bottle is something called Frisket. And what it does is it prevents watercolor from going in the places that you put it. It's like a latex that you put on top of your canvas or your paper. And then you like erase it off and then the underneath will be white. It never works for me. I absolutely hate the stuff. So what I do when I need a place to be white, instead of using that Frisket, which can damage my paper, I normally just go back in with a white opaque watercolor, which is called gouache. So I don't really do that. So technically all of my watercolor paintings do have a little bit of another medium in there, but it just makes it a little bit easier for me. Okay, and so I started to gain a little bit more traction, started selling more commissions. And so I decided that I was going to open up an Etsy store. This is part of like the little photograph thing that I did for my Etsy store. It was an absolute nightmare. This was my bedroom side table. There's so many lights behind there just trying to get a good shot, and this plant died. But this is a little hallelujah smoky scepter. I think I still have this painting. I don't remember if I sold it or not, but that was kind of I decided I wasn't going to do photo shoots for my Etsy stuff. So another way that I decided that I was going to get out there in the mineral world was I was going to start making my own prints and then also trying to sell at my local shows. This is me preparing for the Fort Worth Gem and Mineral Show. And I make all of my prints at home. So all of these over here on the table were all prints that I made. My printer's really slow, but it does great quality, like really nice quality prints. Which the quality was something that I really wanted to make sure was there because I didn't want people buying dinky little prints. So I spent some money on a good printer. Here is me, my first time working at a mineral show. In this picture, I have like not slept in probably 2 days, barely gotten any sleep trying to set up for this thing. It was just me and my boyfriend there working the show. It looked like I'm half dead, but it was a really good experience. I made a lot of really like good friends, people that I still talk to. It was really wonderful. Here are some more commissions that I did during the time after that show. This garnet over here was from Instagram. This is another commission from somebody on Instagram. And this cat lane topaz right here is also in Jeff Starr's collection. I really loved painting that one because it kind of had this weird glow, this pink glow, which was really fun to try to recreate. And then here are some of the weirder ones that I went to. I kind of like to branch off and do something just a little bit funky while I'm working on commissions. So I'll do some other weird stuff in between. I've had this idea for a long time, and we'll see that I've done some more paintings like this where they have bugs inside of body parts. But this one was the first one that I did, and it's watercolor. All of the ones that you're going to see after this are going to be in oils because I feel like they work better as larger pieces. And then this is a Swiss smoky quartz. And the moon, I don't know, people just seemed like a good idea at the time, but this is another one that just sells out so much, which is good, but I like my other mineral art a little bit better. Here's some more digital work that I've done in the past. This is from my collection. I did these for Instagram because, like I said, Instagram was really instrumental in helping my art career. So these pieces were to show before and after, you know, kind of thing with my artwork. So here's the drawing, here's the photo. I noticed that there were a lot of other like portrait style things on Instagram that were doing that. Really, it was just like kind of a marketing thing for me, but I still really like how they came out. Here's a calcite, same thing in my collection. Around this time, after that Fort Worth Gem and Mineral Show, I became a member of MAD, and I met the lovely people that worked at the Perot Museum there. We were like inducted, I think it is, yeah, inducted in on the same day. And they commissioned this Eyes of Africa Alien Eye fluorite on quartz. I don't know if any of you guys have actually seen this specimen in the Lida Hill Gems and Mineral Hall at the Perot Museum, but it is very large. I think it's about 24 inches tall. And this painting is almost exactly the same size as the specimen. I was able to go to the Gems and Mineral Hall and they took the front glass off of it for me. And I was able to take photos of it there. And then I used some other professional photos too, and just kind of like used it to see the different angles of all the faces so that nothing kind of got drowned out. But this has been gifted to Lida Hill, and I think it's in her office right now. But it's just an amazing piece, and I'm really glad that I got to paint it because it was it is to this day the biggest mineral painting that I've done. It's 22 by 30 inches. There we go. Okay. So this is another painting that the Perot Museum commissioned me to do. This is a ram's horn gypsum that was on display in the Gems and Mineral Hall. I haven't been there in a minute, so I don't know if it's still on display, but I always was really drawn to it just because it's like a whimsical, fun piece. And they ended up gifting this to the Spans because it's in the Span collection on loan at the Pearl Museum. I didn't finish this time-lapse video because I actually finished the piece while they were doing a fundraiser. So I live painted the rest of the piece for everybody that was at the fundraiser at the Pearl Museum. And just about right after that, 2019 came around right before the Tucson show, and I made the jump to quit my job, became artistically unemployed. This is actually where I'm sitting right now. These studio lights here are what I use to film my time-lapse videos. And then you can also see there's like a big flat nose right there. So I went to Tucson for the first time there at the beginning of 2019. The people at the Ark and Stone and my friend Gowan were all very kind enough to let me borrow their specimens so that I could display my paintings with the specimens in the case. I'm very grateful that they were like trusting enough to let me do that. But this was my first case ever at the Tucson show. I built this little wood piece like 2 days before we had to leave so that all of them would be propped up above the specimens so that the specimens weren't in the way. I also was able to do my first What's Hot in Tucson video. I was super nervous the entire time. I feel like I kind of blacked out and woke up at the end of it, but it was a really fun experience. And then here is me and my friends going through thumbnail flats at Dave Funk's, which we did this year too, but just a very fun experience. I was in Tucson for 2 weeks for the first time in 2019. The Ark and Stone, I was working with them at the 22nd Street show, and they were kind enough to let me display some of my artwork there and sell some paintings. And then after that Tucson show, so like I said, I quit my job and I was doing artwork full time. I took this time to kind of pursue some ideas that I had for a long time. So this is another one of those hand paintings that I showed you, kind of like the amethyst one that I did a little earlier. So I took a photo of my hand. I took a bunch of reference pictures online and I kind of melded them together so that I could get a good idea of what it would look like. And then I went over to painting it on canvas. Or I'm sorry, that's board. That's not a canvas, it's a wood board. But here's the finished product of this one. It's a lot of fun. And then right after that first Tucson, this is Alex's piece, Alex's Annotace. This was such a monumental piece for me, and it kind of changed the way that I approached all of my artwork. Because before, when I was painting things, and you could kind of see it, I was jumping around, I wasn't finishing things in certain areas before I got started. So here you can kind of see that I'm working from left to right on this painting. And then I also have this little stencil thing under here. So this painting really changed the way that I approached pretty much every painting after that. I was nervous as heck to get started on this painting because I was like, oh my gosh, it's a lot. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it right. But what I did for myself was I made this stencil. And I do this for every single one of my paintings now. What I do is I do this digitally because I don't want to mess up by sketching onto the paper that I'm going to be painting on. So what I do is I do it digitally, and then I paint over it. Here, I'll show you. I have a little video that I'm going to show you guys how I do those. But it really helps me, those lines really help me get a spatial understanding of where things need to go. As you can see, it has nowhere near the amount of detail that the painting does, but if you remember back in school when you were in art class and they would make you do the grids, and then you could like do something realistically if you followed each grid by grid. It's kind of like that, but a little bit more abstract in that my grid is that little stencil underneath. This is my friend Matt's Mimetite. This is just a really, really cool stencil because I didn't want the lines where because you know it's on the botroids. I didn't want those to be harsh lines, so I kind of had to dot it in. And some of you guys may know that I'm a tattoo artist, and so I drew inspiration from tattoo stencils because they kind of use this dotting pattern here to like denote where there needs to be a change or like just to kind of signal something. So this one was really fun. Also, a weird thing about this painting is that no matter how hard I tried to photograph it or like how many different ways I tried to take a picture of it or scan it, the yellow never showed up the same in photos that it did like in real life. So I always had to Photoshop it to try to get it to match, which was a pain. So here's the process of how I do the stencils. I'm going to start this. So I take a reversed image that I printed out from my digital stencil. That's tracing paper that I put on top of that reversed image. I transfer graphite onto the back side of the image. And then I put it down right side up so that graphite's on the back, and then I just press into it so that it transfers the graphite that I put on there from the pencil. It's pretty light, but it works really well. And sometimes it even makes like a little indentation so it doesn't have the pencil, but that's what I do for every single one of my paintings. And this is just the one that I happen to have on my desk right now with the topaz that I'm working on. This is another fun stencil that I did. This is in Rob Levitsky's collection. This is a big malachite from China. And then I also have the time-lapse version of this. This one was so fine to do with those little lines that I had to switch it between using a colored pencil and my little lining brushes. I had such a good time working on this one though. Also, you can see that my nails are painted like malachite, so I got a little excited. But can you blame me? You can also see that stencil under there just a little bit. Really had a great time with that one. Okay, and then shortly after I completed that malachite, I worked on this painting. Amazing, insane, beautiful blue cat tourmaline. But what was really interesting about this piece is that I had to do some color tests before I actually got started because some minerals colors are so particular that you really have to make sure that you're choosing the right paint and pigment. That reddish kind of almost violetish red color was so difficult for me to try to find a pigment for. I had to go to my art store and flip through pigment books to try to find one that was the closest. You also run into this problem a lot with like dioptase. Rhodochrosite is very hard to color match when it comes to painting them. It's just something that you have to kind of know how to work with. But I'm really lucky that my local small art store has that kind of resource for me so that I can go through and flip through pigments. Here are a couple of other stencils for some pieces that I've done. I wanted to point out that, see, I'm using the dotted lines here again, just to kind of, note some boundaries from where some stuff is. And here are both of the paintings. This absolutely insane Polish fluorite, really amazing stuff. It's huge. If you've ever seen it, I think there was a What's Hot in Tucson where Tom Prasker talked about it, but it's in his collection. It's his painting. Really cool thing. And then this is the Rock Courier skunk Some of you guys might have seen it when they were doing the heritage auction stuff. The Rock Courier Estate actually commissioned me to paint this. And so I actually have a time-lapse video of this one as well. I think they had this up while they were doing the auction. I was lucky enough to see it again when I was working at the La Fuente show. I walked in the building and I saw it on the wall. And I was like, wow, there's my painting. One challenge that I kind of had with this one was that the outside edges were so light, but we wanted it to be on a black background. So you have to kind of get creative with your use of gray. You can't be afraid of gray when you're going in and painting something that's up next to a white background. Kind of have to artificially increase the contrast so that it looks a little bit better. And the next one I'm going to talk about is one of my favorite paintings that I've done and worked on, just because of the story behind it. So the photographer at the Arkenstone, Beth Van Allen, she helped me take so many photos of this calcite. And I don't know if any of you have ever held one of these calcites, but the refractions inside of them are amazing. When Rob first handed me this piece and I saw it outside of the case, it completely changed the way that I looked at it, because the rainbows just move so much on the inside. It's kind of a shame that you have to keep it in a cabinet and keep it safe, because I feel like these are only really appreciated when you have them in your hand. And so we found that while we were trying to take photos of it, there just wasn't any way to take a photo of this calcite that showed all of the refractive rainbows. And that's because the camera only has one aperture, but your eyes obviously have two. So you're catching multiple reflections and different light bounces with both of your eyes. And so there's physically no way for you to replicate that with a photo. I use photo references for every painting that I do. Sometimes I get photos from, like by myself, I'll take photos of the painting or photos of the mineral. And then other times, the collectors, they will send me multiple photos. I always ask for more angles than just one, because it can be really difficult to paint from just one photo, especially if it's not a really good one. So if people send me multiple photos, then I'm able to kind of like make a mental composite of, hey, this face needs to be a little bit lighter. Or, hey, I need to kind of bring this out a little bit. It's hard to explain, but more photos is always better. So with this one, to try to capture the refractive rainbows, I photoshopped the heck out of, I think, 7 photos. And so all of these pieces that you see here have been superimposed over a single base photo. So this has seven different images in it. And then I also have a time-lapse version of this. This one was really, really meticulous to paint, because all of those little light changes inside of the refractions were just very tedious, but it was really worth it. I found that when I'm painting something and I think that it's going to be hard, it probably means that it's worth doing. So I just kind of push through the difficult ones. I can do anything if I have the time. I just have to dedicate the time to it. Also, all of the black backgrounds on every single one of my paintings are black gouache. So it's just a super opaque, very matte black paint, but it's still water soluble. But here's the finished version of that calcite. Really love that one of my favorites. So this was a new style that I started working on. I think it was sometime in the middle of 2018, but it's kind of, or 2019, but it's hard to say exactly when. But I started doing these oil paintings in between some of my commission paintings. And what I really wanted to do was like have like a wind down or like a little palette cleanser for my commissions, because I was doing so many of them and I wanted to do something for me too. So I started doing these. They take me significantly less time than my commission paintings take me. a commission painting can take anywhere from like 20 to 40 hours, sometimes even more, just depending on how tedious the piece is. But these only take me like 2 hours, sometimes 4, depending on how big. But I really like mixing the inorganic minerals with the wood. People really seem to like them too. I was really inspired by like the shadows. I think I saw a photo online that somebody took of a quartz sitting on a table, and I saw that shadow and I was like, ooh, I kind of want to paint that. So I did. I painted so many of these. Also, I do these as live paintings. I've done a lot of these live at like mineral shows. This is me in Denver. I live painted at Tucson this year too, at the La Fuente show. But it's a really fun way to like kind of meet people, and people come up and, you know, they're like, hey, what are you painting? And then it's just a really good time. And I've never like been nervous or hesitant about people coming up and talking to me when I paint or like watching me. This kind of helped you get desensitized to it, you know? So I really like doing them. This is probably like the most complicated one of those that I've ever done. When I was in Tucson, I took a photo of a rock courier, Herkimer diamond, and I painted it. I think this was the last painting that I did right before COVID hit, so that's a shame. And then here are a couple of paintings of minerals that are from my collection. I normally don't do paintings for myself just because I think it's a little, you know, I could be making money rather than like doing paintings for myself. But my main goal is to back my entire thumbnail collection up with paintings so that it can be a dual art and mineral collection. So that's kind of the beginning of this. I finished these both up right before I had to put them into a case at the Tucson show, which is this case. So I was kind of rushing to like put the finishing touches on those right before I framed them and put them in there. This Tucson was so amazing. This is the YMC pod, and I don't know if any of you guys have like seen or got to see it, but it was really amazing. And all of the moderators put in a lot of work to make it happen. And all of the people, they gave me an end case. All of the people that lent me their specimens and their paintings, again, just a big thank you, because it's kind of crazy that people trust me with some of their mineral specimens. But I'm very thankful for it. And one thing that I really wanted to do with this case was I wanted to like give little stories about like the stories behind the paintings and like what I had to go through to like get them. And you've heard a couple of those stories here. But I think it's interesting to talk about like how the painting came, what you had to go through to get it finished, and like just the little cute stories. It just makes it a little bit more interesting. So it was a really great time. This is 2020. This is probably, this one is the last hand painting that I've done. I haven't really had any time to do any more of them, but this one sold. And then, so this is me starting like my tattoo stuff. So in September 2019 is when I started my tattoo apprenticeship. And I was kind of fueled to go into tattoos for a couple of reasons. One was because my boyfriend had been a tattoo artist for the past 3 years. And I've always noticed that when people do mineral tattoos, the tattoo artists don't actually do real minerals a lot of the time. They'll just draw what they think a crystal looks like, and it's not anything that's a real mineral. So I really wanted to, you know, kind of make sure that I did a good job. Sometimes I find it hard to like justify to people that might not like tattoos so much why I really wanted to go into tattooing. But if you think about it, like it's not like bikers and stuff are doing tattoos anymore. The world has just kind of changed, and there's a lot of people that are kind of like me that have like a professional art background that are getting into it because it's a way for you to do art every single day, but it's also seriously meaningful to the people that you do the artwork on. You're giving people a piece of their identity when you tattoo them. It's been really humbling to have to learn something from the ground up, because tattooing is unlike any other art form that I've tried to like take on. So you really have to learn like how to draw again, which has been really fun, but also very humbling, like I said. So that's what I've been doing up until now, because you know COVID's been kind of crazy. I'm working on a few mineral commissions right now, but I'm supposed to be on vacation starting tomorrow, but my van actually isn't done getting fixed. So I'm just going to take that time to get caught up on some of my mineral artwork. I can show you guys some of the things that I have going on if you want to see them. But as far as my presentation goes, that's pretty much it. And I would love to answer any questions that you guys might have. So please feel free to like shoot them at me.
Well, I just want to say thank you very much for the presentation. I must say, and I think we mentioned it down in the comments, that I don't know which was the specimen, which was the painting.
Oh,
They're so great. They're fantastic. And the malachite definitely is an incredible piece, as well as that calcite.
well, thank you so much. I'm having trouble finding my Zoom stuff here. Hold on, I feel like okay. Does anybody have any questions for me, perhaps?
I do actually. Hi, Leah, by the way. I came in a little bit late.
Hello.
But just as like another mineral artist, like I was just curious, like what types of watercolors do you actually use? Like what brands?
Can you guys see my should I stop screen sharing? Is it possible for me to do that?
Yeah, you just got to go up to the top or it should say stop. There you go.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to go.
Okay, so I'll show you what I use, Tom.
Awesome.
I have it right here just in case anybody wanted to see it. This is my